this is a rating projecting the models for the year on like where they think teams will draft at. And the Saints, they have them winding up at the 10th pick of the 2025 draft, even with the strength of schedule factored in. So are the Saints getting shortchanged in this? Let's take a look at the graphic.
Yeah,
they got the Patriots picking 1, Carolina 2, Denver 3, Tennessee 4. These are teams that are kind of still figuring out. But if we go to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got the order there. You got the Giants, Vikings, Raiders, Cardinals, and then the Saints rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, look, so this FPI projection, there's two things going on here. One, they put a projection on each team. They give them a grade or whatever. They have the Saints as the 7th worst team in the NFL in that rating. And then they say they play out all the games to give every team a record, and that bumped the Saints to the 10th pick because they have an easy strength of schedule. And, yeah, of course that surprises me. Like, we've talked about this a million times. We think the Saints are the same as they've been. You know, with more luck, they can be better. With, you know, horrible injury luck, they could obviously be worse. But still an 8 to 9 win type of team, like the same Saints we've been covering for years. And we talked about like Mike Clay's projections for ESPN. He does a thing there too. He did each team as well as the player projections last week. He had the Saints at 8.8 wins. It was his projection, which that all makes sense to me. So I don't know exactly where this one comes from. They said their model is primarily on win totals from ESPN Bet in conjunction with schedule, along with factors such as the strength difference between a team's starting and backup quarterback and a revamped special teams rating. I don't know what they typed into a computer. I could see people's gut instinct saying, oh, the Saints are getting older. I don't know how a computer says they're the 7th worst team in the league. We've not seen them fall to that level in years. I don't know what it is. I consider the Saints to be pretty even with the Falcons and the Buccaneers. I don't know why the Buccaneers are 4 spots higher and the Falcons are 10 spots higher. They obviously have the Falcons winning the division, but I just don't get it. I mean, we can look at the teams that they have better. They you know, they're lofty on the Bears. They're lofty on the Jets.
They got the Bears out of them?
Yeah.
Way ahead.
Unproven.
The Jaguars, the Steelers. I mean, none of these teams
bother me.
This page doesn't bother me that much. This page doesn't bother me that much. Bears. I don't think the Chargers are better. I don't think the Jets are better.
Chargers at 18 is wild.
Yeah.
Like, didn't they just get rid of all their players?
They did.
I mean, I get it. Like, I think there are probably
Jets
15 teams I'd rank ahead of the Saints, but if you 26 teams.
If you tell me Rodgers is legit, okay, fine. I can see that.
Yeah, we're getting into some good
the Falcons
teams
is nuts. The Falcons is nuts.
Well, they had to pick. This is draft order, so they had to pick someone to win the division.
All right. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. So it's
Bills,
Dallas,
Ravens,
Jets,
Lions,
Chargers,
Chiefs,
and Bears are our biggest complaints. Dallas for sure. Yeah.
I mean, 10th is, I don't know. I don't see it. Like, if you told me to pick their draft spot, I'd say 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
Like, I think I put them right there again. Same as last year, probably around the same range.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like my true private individual thoughts are that this is a better team than the one they had last year. I really do believe that. Like, I don't see how it could be worse. They got a better offensive system. Pretty much everybody's back. How does it go down? I don't really see it that way. Ryan Ramczyk was playing last year, but now he's hurt. Like, I just don't. Mm-hmm. I don't see it being significantly worse than last year. I really believe in the offensive system. I really do.
Let me ask you about some other NFC teams here. That I'm fine with putting the exact same grade on these teams. But what does your gut jump out? Saints, Vikings, Buccaneers, Seahawks.
I mean, I like the Saints out of that group. I like the Saints out of that group, though. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, sure, put them all in that tier. That's
Vikings
fair.
are trying out J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. Mm-hmm. Seahawks, Geno Smith had the one good year. They didn't prove they could do without him last year. You can put the Cardinals in that same tier. They're below, I think, but Kyler Murray's
I'd probably drop the Vikings out of that tier, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you're telling me to pick a JJ team versus a
different kind of JJ, because
Kyler team, I'm taking Kyler's team.
Because Jefferson is still on that team, but he needs somebody to throw the ball to him. Yeah. So I don't see how they're not in the same tier with like Washington right now.
Yeah, fair.
I understand human instinct. Looking at the Saints and being like, that team's older, their arrow's pointing down. But I don't think under the magnifying glass that's the case. Like, I do think my biggest concern with the Saints is their margin for error. I think there's so many injuries that could just unravel the team because I don't like their depth at a lot of positions.
Sure.
But yeah, on the surface, I agree with you that it feels like this team should be better than last year's team.
Look, if they're picking 10th though, like next April, like I'm excited to cover that draft. Like, you're looking at like Quinn Ewers at that point, maybe like someone like that. Like possibly.
If they get in the top 10, it's a quarterback draft. Do you think?
I think it's definitely absolutely possible. And I mean, again, I think you probably got to move up. But I mean, there's some QBs here. I mean, you got Sanders, Carson Beck. Not a quarterback, but Travis Hunter is going to be a top 10 pick.
If you get Sanders, you get in a package deal.
Yeah.
And the mock drafts are hilarious with quarterbacks every year.
The Penn State quarterback. I mean, there's some QBs potentially in this draft. Like now, there's always a list this early, and then the list.
Well, what I was
going to
say is mock drafts are hilarious with quarterbacks because they're too afraid to anoint them this early. So you'll see one going 5th, one going 11th, one going 18th.
Facts.
And then you get to the January mock drafts, and then they start to be like, all right, we better start with this. And then you get to the March mock drafts, and they're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
Like, it just takes a while for them to move up. So there will probably be another 3 quarterbacks going in the top 10 next year. But I guess what I'm saying is if this plays out this way, that means Derek Carr did not have a great year. That means something went wrong for the Saints. You think if the Saints end up having a top 10 pick next year, we're looking at it's quarterback time?
Yeah,
Is there a really strong chance?
I mean, man, you're picking top 10. You have to. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If Derek has a great season and they're picking top 10 because everything else failed, you're still looking at quarterback because it's a quarterback and you're in a range to potentially get one. You have to. You have to. I mean, look at what just happened in Atlanta. Like, if you feel it, you have to do it. There are no rules to that. And I kind of thought it was like, it's times like, man, that was dumb. Like, I would have just passed on him. But circumstances fell that way. Like, there are no rules to it. Like, there are no sacred cows. Like, there's nobody's should feel insulted. Like, it is just such a hard position to draft. If you like one, you take them. It doesn't matter if you just signed one 90 days ago. Like, you do it.
And look what Minnesota just did this year, which was really interesting. They got out ahead of it. They had a down year last year, and they're like, let's not try to hang on with Kirk Cousins any longer. We are drafting one this year. Like, that was their offseason plan. They didn't hide it from anyone. And they drafted J.J. McCarthy. We'll see if he works. But they were just like, we'd rather reset with a rookie this year because we don't want to be stuck in the middle. So that's an interesting approach.
Way too early. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. But what quarterback would you take if you had to take one?
The best available one.
Yeah, I don't know yet.
Sure.
I don't know him well enough to. LSU's got an offensive tackle that people like in the top 10. Maybe they could bookend their offensive tackles next year. But all right, let's say the season plays out like we're predicting, 8-9 wins. They have the 15th or 16th pick in the draft. What's your gut on the position that this team's going to need most next year? Defensive end, offensive tackle, same as it always is. Corner, if the divorce finally happens with Marshawn.
No, I think because you just keep Paulson probably then, or you have the other two. I think you're okay there. It's too early. Like, safety is going to be a need next year probably. But I think it's too early for that unless they sign one still, and I think that's still possibly something they could do. I think it's right now. If you're asking me non-quarterback, I would probably go defensive end, wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm thinking defensive end, offensive tackle.
Sticking with you, Mike. Defensive end, offensive tackle, just reversing the order.